Namah Parvati Pataye Govinda Kirtanam.
Namaste everyone. I am very happy to welcome you all to Srimad Bhagavatam. So before starting Srimad Bhagavatam, we will start with prayers. Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnam Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Sarva Lokanam Vijje Bhavaroginam Nidye Sarva Vidyanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. தென்னாடுடைய பெரியவா போற்றி எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் நிறைவா போற்றி சர்வஜா சர்வவியாபி பெரியவா சரணம் மாயப்பெருப்பருக்கும் மகா பெரியவாடி போற்றி. ஓம் ஜன்மாத்யஸ்ய யதோ அன்வயாதிதரதஸ்சார்த்தேஷு அபிஜ்ஞः ஸ்வராட்ம் தேனே பிரம்மஹ்ருதாயாதி கவயே முஹ்யந்தி யத் சூரயः तेजो वारिमृदां यदा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषां दाम्ना स्वेन सदा नरस्तगुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. So in the last session, we have seen the Bala Leela of Lord Krishna in Brindavanam. So Krishna, the type of bhagyam that Gopikas got in Brindavanam, that even yogis did not get that type of bhagyam. So here Sukacharya started another one more beautiful charitram. Raja Parikshit, asked Sukacharya to say everything, to explain everything, whatever happened in Brindavanam, even the climate, even the weather conditions of Brindavanam, he wanted to know. So he wanted Sukacharya to explain everything in Brindavanam. So Sukacharya started narrating the events. One day what happened, Krishna was playing with all his friends. See, they made a team. Krishna is at one side, and all the other friends, including Balaraman, they are all in other side. So Krishna started playing that way, and all the other children, they got envied somehow or the other. They got envied that how Krishna is playing alone without even having all the participants. How he is playing alone? See, they got envied somehow, and they were playing and they played. But all the friends afterwards, after playing, they all came and lodged a complaint to Mother Yashoda that, Mother, Krishna has eaten mud, dirt. He has taken the dirt. Mother Yashoda, Yashoda already, she's having, who was always Mother Yashoda, and upon hearing this event, from Krishna's friends, Yashoda, who was always, full of anxiety, she will be always in anxiety over Krishna's welfare only, thinking of Krishna's welfare. She picked Krishna up and he looked into his mouth and started to chastise him. She was scared. She was literally scared. Her eyes were, fearful. She spoke. Why, Krishna? Why, my dear? You have taken dirt. Why do you want to take dirt? Why do you want to take dirty things in your mouth? Okay, there are so many things, sweets and savories in our house. So why can't you take that? Krishna asked, who said that I have taken dirt? Yashoda said, all your friends are saying, even your, all your playmates are saying, or even your elder brother Balaraman, he is also saying the same thing. How is this? So, but Krishna said, in Ramavataram, Adisheshan, see, Lakshmana is the incarnation of Adishesha. So in Ramavataram, what happened? Lakshmana, all the 24 hours he was awake, looking Rama. And he came with Rama, leaving all his household, his wife and everybody. And he came with Rama. And throughout the Ramavataram, Lakshmana is with Rama, was with Rama. So now in Krishna Avataram, Balaraman is the incarnation, of Adishesha. And Krishna, he doesn't want to go against Balaraman here in this Krishna Avatar. So Krishna replied, my dear mother, I have never eaten dirt. All my friends are complaining against me or lies. If you think that they are being truthful, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it. Yashoda said, if you have not taken, the dirt, then open your mouth wide. So here Krishna replied, you yourself come and open my mouth with your hand. Otherwise, you will complain. You will complain that I have put all the dirt inside. I have, I hid the dirt inside my tongue. So you yourself come and, open my mouth. See, Krishna liked the mother's touch. So he asked her to open his mouth, and Yashoda, she opened Krishna's mouth very widely, and she saw Vaikuntapati, opened his mouth. He opened his mouth. What did Yashoda see there? Yashoda never see any dirt there. When Krishna opened his mouth wide, Mother Yashoda, she saw within his mouth all the moving and non-moving entities, the outer space and all the directions, along with all the mountains, islands, ocean, even the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, all the, fire, the moon and the stars. She saw all the, planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and, even the creation of transformation of Ahankara. She also see all the senses, the mind, the sense perception, and, the three qualities. Three qualities is the, the goodness, the passion and ignorance. All the three qualities she saw. And she also saw the time allotted for the living entities, she saw the natural instinct and the reactions of karma. She saw desires, different variety of bodies, both moving and non-moving, she saw. And along with all the cosmic manifestations, she saw herself. She saw one more Brindavanam there, and she saw the Nanda Gopar there, and she saw even Krishna, one more Yashoda there in that in Krishna's mouth. So now what happened? Now she began to argue with herself. She don't know, is this, whatever I see here, is this a dream or is it an illusory creation by the external energy, or has this been manifested by my own intelligence or some mystic power of my child? What is this all? See, I'm not dreaming because my eyes are wide open, so I'm not dreaming, I'm not sleeping, nor I'm dreaming. See, then maybe this is an illusion created by Deva Maya. But why these devatas should play with me? I don't know. There is no connection. And I'm fit in health. I'm not diseased. Am I becoming old? No, after Krishna's birth, I have become so young. Then she realized, see, he is not an ordinary child. Krishna is not an ordinary child. He might be the Supreme Lord himself. See, he is beyond my contemplation. beyond my speculation and meditation. So he's beyond all my material activities. So now she understood Swayam Narayanan, Swayam Paramatma, Swayam Vishnu, Vaikundapati himself has come as Krishna. So she prostrated before him, saying that you are my ultimate shelter. You are going to be my ultimate shelter. You have to save me and you are my ultimate shelter. So now Mother Yashoda, by the grace of the Lord, she could understand the absolute truth. She could understand the real truth. What is happening? What is the real truth? She could understand. But then again, the Supreme Lord, what happened? He doesn't want his mother to be like that, like a jnani. He wants his mother to be a mother. So by the influence of his internal potency, what happened? Krishna brought her back to normal. So immediately, forgetting the Yoga Maya's illusion, all the illusion, so that Krishna had shown that, that the universal form within his mouth, Yashoda took his son. Immediately, she took his son on her lap as before, and feeling very feeling increased affection in her heart, started to give milk to him. So the glories of the Lord, are studied through the three Vedas. The glories of the Lord are studied through three Vedas, the Upanishads, the literatures of the Sankhya Yogam and other, Vaishnava literatures. Yet, this Mother Yashoda, she considered that Supreme Lord, she considered that Supreme Person, her ordinary child, Aho Bhagyam. King Parikshit was hearing all this charitram from Sukacharya, without even uttering a word. But here, at this place, he said, what a Punyatma Yashoda is, what a Punyatma Nandagopal is. What past, auspicious activities, Punyam did she and, Nandagopal has done. And she points the Lord, the Paramatma is taking the, Yashoda's breast milk. Aho Bhagyam. This is a full Bhagyam. And this, how come this Nandagopal and Yashoda, they got this Bhagyam? This Parikshit was praising. He was wonderstruck. And now, after this charitram, one day, what happened when Yashoda saw that all the maid servants were engaged in their household activities, and she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna. And in her own way, she composed songs and engaged singing to herself about all the activities. It is like, Sukacharya is describing, is bringing, Yashoda into our eyes. Like, she dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied, tied about the full hip. And Yashoda pulled on the churning rope. She's laboring considerably, she's laboring. Her bangles, her earrings are moving and vibrating, and the whole body is, shaking. And because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with her beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration. She was laboring, she was churning, she was churning yogurt. So you could see the Malati flowers. She was holding all the Malati flowers, and the Malati flowers were falling from her hair. And Sukacharya, has described them in such a way that the Mother Yashoda, comes to her eyes, comes to her, and she was dressed and how she was working and perspiring, and how beautifully the flowers were arranged in her hair and so on. So Krishna was sleeping. When she was working, when she was churning the yogurt, Krishna was sleeping. In his room, he was sleeping. And as soon as he got up, he became hungry. And he went to his mother and, he wanted to take milk from her. And he stopped her from churning the yogurt. And, that rod, churning rod, he stopped that, stopped her from moving that churning rod. And Mother Yashoda then embraced the child, the baby, baby Krishna, and allowed him to sit down on her lap and began to look upon the face of the Lord. And with great love and affection, with the intense affection, with a very, very intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. And little Krishna, started to take the milk. See, he describes, he is taking the milk. See, the little Krishna, started to take the milk with her, with his half eyes closed, and with, with little, half eyes closed and with little tears in his eyes, and half sleeping. You can imagine a small baby, half sleeping, half eyes closed, and tears, little bit tears, But when she saw, see, actually, Mother Yashoda, what she was, she kept the milk pan. She kept the milk pan on the oven before giving milk to Krishna. So, but when she saw that milk pan, on the oven or in the kitchen was boiling over, she immediately, left her son, left Krishna to take care of she went off to take care of the overflowing milk there. So she pulled Krishna, put him back, and she went to take the overflowing milk there from the oven. So, but the child, Krishna was not happy because he was not fully satisfied with drinking the milk. So he got angry. So it's natural when a child gets angry, becomes angry, then what happens? He begins to cry with the false tears in his eyes. So Krishna did this. And with his, biting his reddish lips, like that, with his teeth, he broke the pot. He broke the pot with a stone and entered a room and began to eat. He broke the pot, he broke all that churning rod and everything he broke. And he went into a room where that butter will be there. And he started taking that butter. Yashoda, what happened? After taking down the hot milk from the stove, she returned to the churning spot where she was sitting. And when she saw that yogurt pot was completely broken and Krishna was not present there, she understood that Krishna has broken, broken the pot. And when she began to smile also, because she wanted to punish him, but seeing his action, seeing his action made her to smile also. But Yashoda was able to, Yashoda was now, Krishna was hiding somewhere. After breaking the pot, he was hiding somewhere. And Yashoda was able to trace Krishna by following his butter-smeared footprints. So she saw that Krishna was stealing butter and thus smiled. She was smiling. She found the place where Krishna was hiding, sitting and eating the butter. So she doesn't want to scare Krishna as he is a small kid. So what happened? So she cautiously came behind Krishna, where Krishna saw his mother, with a stick in his hand, in her hand. So he very quickly, he got down from the top of the mortar and began to run, began to flee, as if he was very much afraid. So Mother Yashoda thought, oh, this child became scared. So she threw the stick off and began following Krishna to catch him. Although, the scene is like, the yogis, the jnanis, try to capture him as a Paramatma, try to capture this Paramatma by meditation with great austerities, great penance, tapasam, even they fail to reach him. But here, Yashoda, who is only a gopi, despite all obstacles, was finally able to catch Krishna without any difficulty. So this is the difference between the yogi and bhakta. Yogis and jnanis cannot enter the effulgence even after many, many, many years of austerities. Whereas these bhaktas can capture Krishna simply by, love and affection. So when caught by Yashoda, Krishna became more and more afraid and admitted, to being an offender. So what happened? All as she looked upon him, as she looked upon Krishna, what happened? She saw that he was crying, his tears, mixing with that kajal, with the kajal around his eyes, and he is rubbing his eyes. Little Krishna is rubbing his eyes, and the whole eyes in his, he smeared the kajal all over his face. And Yashoda, seeing him, mildly began to chastise him, mildly began to scold him. When she saw that her son, has become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities. So the Supreme Lord has, the Paramatma has no beginning, no end, no exterior, no interior, no front or no rear side. In other words, he's all pervading. But this Yashoda, this Gopi, Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, what happened? She bound him into the wooden mortar with a rope. Yashoda was trying to bind Krishna with a rope. But she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance of, width of 2 fingers. So she brought another rope to join it. The new rope was also short by the measurement of 2 fingers. As many ropes as she, joined, all of them, failed. Their shortness could not be overcome. So because of Yashoda's hard, labor, because she was joining all the ropes, it is not coming out correctly. So because of her labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration. She was sweating, and all the flowers and the comb was falling from her hair. And when child Krishna, this baby Krishna, saw his mother, thus fatigued by all the labor, he became very merciful to her and agreed to be bound. So Sukacharya told Parikshit, the entire, the entire universe, the entire universe is under the control of the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. But what happened? Here, he comes under the control of the devotees. Neither Lord Brahma, nor Shiva, not even Mahalakshmi, herself, who is always a better half of the Lord, can obtain the Paramatma, the deliverer from the material world. Such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda, an ordinary gopi, bound Krishna. Yashoda, and what happened? Yashoda left some rope also between Krishna and the martyr, so that he can move around, he can play around between the martyr and the rope, he can move around. While this Mother Yashoda was very busy with her household activities and all, the Lord Krishna, observed the twin trees known as Marudamaram. In Tamil it's called Yamalarjunam, which is the, which in a former millennium had been the Deva's sons of Kubera, sons of Kubera. In their former birth, the two sons of Kuberan, known as Nalagrivan and Manigrivan, Nalaguban and Manigrivan, they're extremely opulent, opulent because they are sons of Kubera, they are very opulent and fortunate. But because of the pride and because of the false prestige, they did not care about anyone because they belong to a wealthy family. And Narada Munivar, he cursed them to become a tree. And so this Nalaguban and, Manigrivan were, but the Nalaguban and Manigrivan were great devotees of Lord Shiva. And because of his the material opulence, they become so extravagant and senseless that one day they were enjoying Jalakride, without putting any clothes, with all the, with all the devatas, they are there. And suddenly when Narada Munivar, he passed by, but they were so maddened with their wealth, they were so proud and the false prestige, that even though they saw Narada Munivar present there, they remained naked and were not even ashamed. So Narada Munivar, what happened? He cursed these two persons to become dull and unconscious like trees. So these two trees, that remained in the courtyard of Yashoda and Nandagopal, waiting for the opportunity to see Krishna. So Krishna, now rolling his mortar with the rope, went in between the twin trees as wished by them, and uprooted the two Marudamara, Yamalarjuna trees, and this Nalaguban and Manigrivan, that thus, they were delivered by Krishna after 100 years of Devas. So they prayed to Krishna, and they saw Krishna face to face. They understood, how Krishna was merciful, and then they prayed and departed to their respective abodes. And Nandadigal, all the other cowherd, persons there, they all wandered and, wondered and thanked God because, for saving the little Krishna, as they saw all the two uprooted big trees, lying there and without, without falling on Krishna. So the other boys there, they said that too, they were like, they was like people, they came there and prostrated to Krishna. But the elders thought that it's all a Bala Bhashyam, means childish talk. They left. And thus this Nanda means Nalaguba Hayagrival, they left and they went to their abode. And then what happened? Lord Krishna, Swami, they killed Bagasuran, Vatsasuran, and Agasuran also. And Bagasuran means Bagasuran assumed the body of a duck with a very sharp beak, and he swallowed Krishna. And Krishna, what happened, became like a fire, burning his throat. And so the Bagasura vomited Krishna, and Krishna, captured the Rakshasa by the two, halves. Two halves, of the beak, and very easily, he bifurcated him. So thus the Krishna killed Bahasuran. One day, what happened? Bahasuran was killed, Vatsasuran was killed, and then one day what happened? Krishna wanted to enjoy a picnic lunch. Another episode. This is another episode that one day Krishna wanted to enjoy a picnic lunch within the forest, and with all the cowherd boys, with all the, Gopas, his friends, that is his friends. They all went inside the forest. while they were enjoying all the food and everything, Aghasuran came. Aghasuran is a Rakshasan who was the younger brother of Putana and Bahasuran. So he appeared there, assuming the form of a big python, expanding himself into the length of 8 miles and the height of a mountain. He opened his mouth. So all the other children, they thought that it's another place, it's a beautiful spot, picnic spot, and they all, Aghasuran, see, he was laying on the ground. Aghasuran lay on the ground, and his mouth, widely open from the surface of the, earth to the heavenly planet. And these boys, they thought that it's a beautiful spot for, on Brindavanam. So they all entered the mouth. But Aghasuran, was waiting for Krishna to enter into his mouth. But what happened? The Krishna, he entered into Aghasuran's mouth and he expanded his body to such an extent that Aghasura suffocated. He could not close his mouth, he could not open his mouth, he got suffocated and died. So thus Krishna, saved all the Gopas and protected everyone from this Rakshasas. And, although this incident, the incident, Aghasuran, has been performed 1 year before, when the cowherd boys were, 5 years old, when they were 6 years, they said it happened today. What happened was this. What happened was, after killing that Aghasuran, Krishna, along with all his associates, that there's all the cowherd boys, went for the picnic within the forest. They were going to the picnic, So the forest is really beautiful with all the, river bank is extremely beautiful. And the Kalandi river, is flowing beautifully on both sides. And there were a lot of trees. And each one of the cowherd boys, there's Gopas, Krishna's friends, they look forward towards Krishna, thinking that Krishna might look towards him. And each one of them wants Krishna to be beside him. Beside Krishna. Each one of them, they want to be beside Krishna. So what Krishna did was, Krishna stood in the middle of all the boys. Sukacharya, described how the boys along with Krishna enjoyed the lunch in the forest. So Krishna selected the place, a beautiful place to take the lunch, and told that the calves, may drink the water and go slowly here and there and eat all the grass. So he selected such a place, such a beautiful place where the calves can also move around and they can sit along and eat the lunch. So accepting this Krishna's proposal, all the boys, Gopas or the cowherd boys, they allowed the calves to drink the water from the river, and then they opened the, the basket to eat their lunch along with Krishna. So all the Gopas, this cowherd boys, enjoyed the lunch with Krishna, showing one another, their homemade lunch. They share, they shared the lunch between them, tasting one another's preparation. They began to laugh, and the friends were very jubilantly, began to eat the lunch. See, Krishna is a yajna book, means he eats only the offerings from yajnam. But here what happens is, he now, he sat with his flute. He's describing, Swacharya is describing, he now sat with his flute, tucked between his waist and his tight cloth on his right side, and his cow, this cow driving stick on his left hand, and holding the, in his hand, the yogurt rice with all the ginger and, nartangai, means the citrus fruits, suitable to, taste with yogurt rice. Between his fingers, he sat like the, lotus flower, personally joking with all his friends and creating a jubilant laughter, Among them, he started to eat. He ate his, lunch. At that time, the devas in the heaven, were watching. All these episodes were being watched by all the devas there. They were struck with wonder, at how this Paramatma, how he eats only from the yajna. Only from the yajna, his yajna, he took the food. But he is now eating as an ordinary child with his friends in the forest. How is he doing this? See, the cowherd boys, who these little boys who know nothing within the core of their heart but Krishna, were thus enjoying, were thus enjoying the, eating with the lunch with Krishna in the forest. The calves and the cows, went far away, deep into the forest, being allowed, allowed by, green grass. Allured. They were allured by green grass and they went inside the forest to take the grass. When the boys saw that the calves were not there, it's all missing, they said, "Oh Krishna, we can't find our calves here." Here, Krishna uses this sentence, Mitra Shabdam, he uses. And Krishna saw that his friends were frightened.
Alert from Microsoft Update Assistant Mac OS upgrade required.
When Krishna saw that his friends were, scared, the fierce controller, even of the fear itself, said, "My dear friends, do not stop eating. Okay, you start. I shall go myself to bring your calves back. Let me go and search the calves. Don't disturb. Don't disturb your enjoyment. Okay." Then, carrying his yogurt rice in his hand, he went in search for the calves. All the mountains, mountain caves, bushes and narrow passages. Everywhere he searched. But now he understood, Krishna understood the cause of all this. Why the calves are missing? What happened to the calves? He now understood. This is all done by Lord Brahma. See, Lord Brahma was astonished to see Krishna taking food with all the children as an ordinary child, as an ordinary boy. See, he wanted to test whether Krishna was, actually there taking the food, or even, he even got a little bit jealous seeing Krishna. So due to the Maya, Lord Brahma took all the calves and all the children to his place. So Krishna understood that this was the work of Brahma. But he did not go to the Brahma Lokam. He did not go to the Brahma Lokam to get all the calves and all the cowherd boys. Instead, what happened? He expanded himself as calves and boys, as cowherd boys. So he expanded himself into the exact number of the missing cowherd boys and calves, and with their exact bodily features, their particular types of hands, legs, limbs, and their sticks. He became stick. He became the buggles and flutes. And their lunch boxes, their toys, their particular types of dress, and their ornaments, placed in various ways. Their names, their ages and forms, and their special activities and characteristics. By expanding himself in this way, beautiful Krishna proved that Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. Krishna is always complete. Is always complete. And although he can create millions of universes, all of them full of, in all full opulences, he remained as opulent as ever without any change. That is the Advaitam. So now expanding himself so as to appear as all the calves, as a cowherd boys, all of them, all of them as they were. And and at the same time appeared as their leader, this Krishna. He entered Brindavanam from the forest. Now, what happened? Krishna had many friends, like, Sridaman, Sudaman. And thus Krishna, what happened? He himself became Sridaman, Sudaman, and all the other cowherd boys, like all the Gopas, he became. And they all went to their respective houses, the calves and everything, Krishna became all. But here, what happened? The Gopikas love and affection towards their children cannot be limited, because an ordinary mother, an ordinary mother itself will show abundance of love towards a child who is a Jivan. But here, the Paramatma himself has appeared as their sons. And the Gopikas, even the Gopikas' affection and love towards them has become limitless now. So they lifted the boys, they embraced them, feed them, massaged them with oil, bathed them, smeared their bodies with the sandal paste, and decorated them with ornaments, chanted protective mantras, decorated their bodies with the house of each and every cowherd boys, and engaged exactly like the former boys, thus enlivening their mothers and transcendental pleasures. Similarly, all the cows entered their different sheds and began mooing, loudly, calling their respective calves. When the calves arrived, the mothers ran and began, licking the calves' bodies and again, and profusely feeding them. Because it's all Krishna. So here, Sukacharya therefore wanted to explain the increment of affection, in terms of Krishna's bewilderment of Brahma, the gopis, the cows, and everyone else. Although the inhabitants of, Brindavan, the cowherd men and the cowherd women, previously had more affection for Krishna than for their own children, now for 1 year, their affection of their own sons, continuously increased. For, Krishna had now become their sons. That's why it is increasing. Every day they found, every day they found that now the inspiration for loving their children, as much as they love Krishna. So 1 year has passed. Lord Brahma, he wanted to check, what is happening in Brindavan. When Lord Brahma returned after a moment of time, has passed, means according to his own measurement, he saw that although by human measurement a complete year has passed now, Lord Krishna after all the time was engaged just as before in playing with the boys and calves who were his expansions. Lord Brahma thought, what happened to the boys? No, I have taken the boys and calves, to Brahmalokam. They were all sleeping in Brahmalokam. And how come here there are boys, the same boys and cows and calves here? A similar number of, of boys and calves have been playing with Krishna for 1 whole year. Yet they are different from the ones, illusioned by my mystic potency. Who are they? Where did they come from? See, he went to the Brahmalokam to see that, all the boys and all the calves and everything were there in Brahmalokam. He then came down, he was seeing both. So he tried to understand who was real and who was not real. But he couldn't understand all that. So Brahma wanted to bewilder Krishna, who bewilders the entire universe. So instead of defeating Krishna, Lord Brahma himself was defeated, for he could not understand what Krishna was doing. While Brahma was contemplating, all the calves and cowherd boys immediately, transformed into the Lord Vishnu, having, bluish, complexions and wearing yellow garments. Brahma was contemplating his own power and the immense, unlimited power of Krishna. But before he could come to a conclusion, he saw the immediate transformation. All the boys, all the cows, and all the boys, cowherd boys, all these personalities had 4 arms holding, conch shell. Disc means chakram, maze, and lotus flower in their hands, and they wore the the crown kiridam on their heads, earrings on their ears, and garlands of these forest flowers around their necks. Their chest was the emblem of Mahalakshmi. Furthermore, they wore that armlets on their arms, the Kaustuba gem around their neck, and with bangles, their ankles, the ornaments on their feet, and sacred bells around their waists. They all appeared very beautiful. And Lord Brahma's external consciousness then revived, and he stood up just like a dead man, back to life. Opening his eyes with the great difficulties, he saw the universe along with himself. He saw that. And he saw the absolute truth. Paramatma, assuming the role of the child in a Gopa family, with a morsel of food in his hand and searching everywhere the calves and cows and the friends. So Lord Brahma here, he fell down like a golden rod and touched the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And Lord Brahma prayed with many slokams and told, you have to be in my heart always. Having said all the slogans, now Brahma, he left to Brahmaloka. He understood the absolute truth of Sri Krishna. So the power of power of Maya, the entire universe remains in perpetual bewilderment. And in this atmosphere of forgetfulness, no one can understand his own identity. So the cowherd boys, friends, said to the Lord Krishna, you have returned so quickly. They don't understand. It's 1 year has passed. So, but they said that you have returned so quickly, and we have not even one morsel of, one morsel in your absence. Please come here and take your meal with, without any distractions. We will have the fun, and we'll take the lunch. And they all took the lunch, and they all went home and told their parents that Krishna has killed a big serpent today, as if it has happened today. So this wonderful charitrama of how Lord Brahma, stunned by transcendental bliss, was narrated by Sukacharya to King Parikshit. Then I think I can say this Kalinga and Ardhanam also today, along with this with this charitram. So then Sukacharya narrated Kalinga and Ardhanam, charitram of Kalinga and Ardhanam. Kalinga was a venomous, very poisonous, venomous snake living in the waters of Kalindi river. That is in the bank of river Yamuna. That is in the Yamuna river. That's a tributary of Yamuna. See, the fiery poison was such that the waters of the river was almost boiling. So its fumes was, the boiling fumes, were reaching up to the skies, and the birds flying up, they all fell dead. They all dropped down dead. The wind which blows over the water was contaminated with its poisonous spray. And the cows, calves, and the cowherd boys on the banks of the river who come in contact with it met with their death only. So when Krishna heard about all these things, about this, what happened? He climbed a tree nearby and plunged into the water. So when he plunged into the water, it was disturbed. The disturbed water, the disturbed water, it angered the serpent. It angered Kalingan. that someone had entered into the water to counter him. So Kalingan got angry and he raised his, multi hoods and tried to bite Krishna. Krishna fought with Kalingan, and Kalingan was spewing, he's spraying the deadly poison on one side, but on the other side, what happened? Little Krishna was smiling. He was sporting with a lovely smile on his face. When Nandagopar, Yashoda, and the other, Gopas, heard about this, they all got scared and they rushed on the banks of Kalindi and were terrified to see, Krishna entrapped into the, deadly coils of Kalindi. When Krishna saw that everyone was terrified, everyone was, scared and distressed, he expanded his body and escaped from the bondage of this Kalingan serpent. Seeing that the angry, Kalinga was with uplifted hooves and hissing and, breathing the poison through his nostrils, Krishna, the guru of all forms of, what can we say? The guru of all forms of kalai, means art forms. He's the guru of all the art forms. He leapt on the bejeweled hoods of Kalinga and started dancing. Kalinga Nardhanam. He started dancing. Seeing that Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kalinga, all the Devatas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Charanas, Apsaras, they all assembled in the sky. They all chanted the hymn. The celestial, all the celestial musicians, they played their music. The orchestra was there. The Apsaras, like Ramba and Urvasi, they all performed Bharatanatyam. Narada and Tumburu, they all sang beautiful songs, and Nandi was playing the percussion instrument, So, as Krishna danced on the hoods of Kalinga, his dark curly hair around his beautiful face, flew in all the directions. He was thus dancing on the hoods of Kalinga. He's giving pressure and dancing on the hoods of Kalinga. So the lotus feet of Krishna was on the hoods of Kalinga. So Kalinga emitted all the poisonous through his mouth. Finally, what happened? In sheer exhaustion, he got exhausted and he swooned. Coming back to his senses, Kalingan realized that the Lord's glory, and he, along with his wives and children, prayed to the Lord for protection. Kalingan's wife invoked the Lord through beautiful slogam. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane. The slogan goes like that. Namaha Krishnaya, Namaha Vasudeva Sudhaya Cha Pradyumnaya Aniruddhaya Sattvatam Pathe Namaha. It goes like that. Sri Krishna, thereupon told Kalingan and his wives, children and relatives to leave the river and, proceed to the ocean for their stay. Lord also promised that Garuda will not disturb him, because Kalingan came to this Yamuna river because of the fear of Garuda. So Yamuna also regained the glory now. So Yamuna, here the Tattvam is, Yamuna represents the mind like, and the water represents our thoughts. And Kalinga is the multi-hooded serpent called the ego, which pours forth, its desires, anger, greed, jealousy, envy, and, innumerable, emotions into the mind, like the, mind lake, to poison and pollute it. This powerful and poison emotions, what happens? It ruins our noble and sattvic thoughts, represented by the cows and calves. It is ruining in this lake, in the mind-like lake. And Krishna represents the spiritual knowledge in the intellect, which alone can render the ego. The footprints of the Lord, footprints of the Lord on Kalinga indicate the absence of I-ness and minus, I and my, so that the mind becomes very pure and sattvic and helps in the realization of the supreme Brahman, means supreme Paramatma. So thereupon Sukacharya narrated, after narrating this Kalinga Nardanam, he narrated the Charitram of, Govardhana Giri, means lifting the little Krishna, he lifted Govardhana hill and protected all the Gopas and Gopikas, cows and calves from the flood caused by Lord Indran. Lord Indran, he got angry when he was, denied privilege of as guardian of Brindavan, and instead Mount Govardhana was offered, puja and nevedyams. So Indran felt all these are because of Krishna only. So Indran fell that, so Indran caused a massive downpour of rain. So the Gopas and Gopis went and took shelter on Govinda, Krishna, that is Krishna. So Krishna took up with one hand, the little finger, Govardhana hill, and held as high, as easily as a child, holding holding a mushroom. So he held up the mountain high for 7 days, and all the Vrajas, all the Vrajas, the Gopas, the Gopis and the cows and calves took shelter under the mountain as an umbrella, So Lord Indra now wondered what happened to all, and then realized the glory of Krishna. So all the ego, crashed. And in heaven, all the devas and saints and the heavenly singers showered rains of flowers, and they did that Govinda Pattabhishekam. So Govinda Pattabhishekam is one of the important episode in Krishnavataram. And after narrating this Krishnavataram, means Govinda Pattabhishekam, Sukacharya told how Lord Krishna defeated Varunan. Nandagopar was kidnapped by Varunan once, and one day when the day of Dwadasi, Nandagopar was fasting, and Varunan, he kidnapped Nandagopar, and he went to Varuna Lokam. So Lord Krishna went there and released Nandagopar, and from there, from the Varuna Lokam, and Varunan also realized the glory of Lord Krishna. So next we will go to Rasa Kridai. So in the next session, we will see the Rasa Kridai, that is, Manmada Vijayam of Sri Krishna with all the gopis. And now we will conclude this session with Purnamidam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.